Welcome to Tales of Life. In a small village, nestled beside a serene riverbank, there lived a young man named Lido. He was blessed with a handsome face and a sharp mind, yet he was plagued by a significant flaw, a profound habit of wasting his time, drifting through life without any discernible goal. Lido's days followed a predictable, unproductive pattern. He would rise late in the morning, long after the sun had begun its journey across the sky. His afternoons were spent wandering aimlessly through the village paths, and his evenings were dedicated to frivolous conversations with friends that stretched late into the night. Countless hours were lost as he simply sat, staring blankly at the sky, a vacant look in his eyes. To anyone who inquired about his idleness, he had a standard, well-rehearsed response. "I have plenty of time. ... I can always do it tomorrow." When well-meaning neighbors would gently ask about his future plans or what he intended to do with his life, Lido would just offer a placid smile and confidently reply, "I'm waiting for a good opportunity to arrive à the firm," albeit misguided belief that a grand chance would simply fall into his lap without any effort on his part. His parents, who were hard-working and diligent, toiled from dawn till dusk, their hearts heavy with the hope that their son would eventually use his youth and intelligence to study a trade or learn a valuable skill. However, their pleas fell on deaf ears. Lido would consistently refuse their suggestions, always citing fatigue or a lack of motivation as his excuse. He was perpetually too tired to engage in any meaningful activity that required commitment or discipline. Years slipped by, flowing as relentlessly and swiftly as the river that bordered his village. The passage of time, which once seemed infinite to Lido, began to reveal its unforgiving nature. One afternoon, as he was taking one of his usual leisurely walks down the main road, he encountered a group of his former childhood playmates. The contrast between their lives and his own was stark and jarring. One had become a successful businessman, his confident demeanor reflecting his achievements. Another held a high-ranking position in a respected company, his words carrying the weight of responsibility. Others had built warm, loving families, their faces glowing with the contentment of a life well. Each of them had established a stable home and a respectable career, building a future brick by brick through years of hard work. Meanwhile, Lido stood before them, as he had always been, still wandering aimlessly, without a job, a purpose, or a home of his own, entirely dependent on the diminishing resources of his aging parents. A heavy wave of realization crashed over him. For the first time, Lido saw his reflection not in a mirror, but in the successful lives of his peers, and what he saw filled him with an overwhelming sense of worthlessness. The weight of his wasted years settled upon his shoulders, and a deep, gnawing regret began to consume him. He felt lost, adrift in a sea of his own making, with no land in sight. Desperate for guidance and hoping to find a sliver of hope, he decided to visit an old woman who lived on the outskirts of the village. She was widely known for her profound wisdom and compassionate heart, a beacon of clarity for those who had lost their way. With a heavy heart and dragging feet, Lido made his way to her humble abode. He found her tending to her small garden, her movements slow but deliberate. He approached her, his voice barely a whisper, filled with the shame of his past. "Grandmother," he began, the word catching in his throat, "I have squandered so many years of my life. I have watched time pass me by, and now I have absolutely nothing to show for it. I am empty. What should I do?" The old woman looked up. Her eyes, though clouded with age, held a deep, knowing light. She listened patiently to his confession, her expression one of gentle understanding rather than judgment. Without saying a word, she beckoned him inside and brought him a simple glass of clear water. She placed it on the table in front of him and told him in a soft, steady voice, "Look at the water in this glass. It represents the time you have in life. Every drop is a moment, an opportunity. If you simply leave it sitting here, untouched, or if you decide to pour it out, uselessly onto the ground, it will eventually evaporate and dry up, disappearing forever. But she continued, her gaze intensifying. If you use this water to nurture a thirsty plant, to water the crops that feed your family, or to put out a dangerous fire that threatens a home, it will hold immense, immeasurable value. The grandmother's words deeply resonated with Leto. He realized that waiting for a good opportunity was pointless, because a good opportunity is the moment we choose to take action. Leto decided to change his life. He started making small plans, waking up before sunrise, learning carpentry from a craftsman in the village, and setting daily goals. Although the change was difficult at first, he persevered and did not allow laziness to return. A few years later, Leto became a skilled carpenter with his own business. He no longer had time to sit and stare at the sky without purpose, as his time was filled with meaningful work. He discovered that success does not happen by accident, but comes from using time with a clear purpose. He learned the most important lesson in life: time lost can never be recovered. Thanks you for watching Channel Tales of Life.